Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. I have some really good stories to tell you where the customers thought it was going to be a really high bill and it ended up not being so. Let's get started. So it's the holidays and I thought that maybe we could do a video that's nice things, good things. With so much negativity and things going on in the world right now, maybe we could focus on something that's positive, something that's happy. And I have 6 incidences or customers that have come through the shop or at shops I've worked at in the past where it turned out to be a rainbow with a pot of gold at the end. It was like, wow, this is great. The first story I have was a 2005 Dodge Charger. It came into the shop with the customer fully expecting a transmission rebuild. She had noticed no muffler Newton, guys. Every time, I'm telling you. Right in the middle of my story. Anyways, she had been noticing puddles of fluid on the ground where she parks her car, and then it started shifting really weird, or she would give it gas and then it would bang into gear. And she called a few shops around and they're thinking $3 grand, $4 grand, transmission rebuild, pull it out, put it back in, all that stuff. So she came to our shop where I was at that time. She had her pocketbook out. She's like, let's get this transmission rebuild over with. I just want this done. I don't want to think about this anymore. And the owner of the shop that I was working at was like, hold on here, let's see what's going on before we start writing checks out here. So we got the car up in the lift and we started inspecting it and saw the transmission oil pan was just coated in fluid. It was just dripping out. We checked the fluid level and it was not even registering on the stick. It ended up being that the gasket was bad. It was leaking most of its fluid out through driving, and she actually just almost ran out of fluid. That's why it wasn't engaging, it was slipping, it was doing weird stuff. We did a service with a new filter, new gasket, and all new fluid, and the thing came back alive. It was like brand new. It was a few $100, $300 I think it was. She almost didn't believe it. She's like, no, it needs a new transmission. We're like, no, go drive it and come back. She came back with tears in her eyes. She was like, this is amazing. This is the best news I've heard in a long time. I really needed this. It's like, hey, that's the way it is. You guys know in my shop, we don't gouge people, we don't rip off people here, but what it takes to do the job, I am going to charge you for that. And I kind of learned that from my mentor. He was the same way. So I'm pretty much carrying on the tradition with that. The next story I have is a 1991 F-150. This actually happened here at this shop here in Newton with a good customer of mine, and he brought it to me. It was running really rough. The engine was actually smoking, and it just ran so bad. There was so much smoke, he was like, this engine has finally just kicked the bucket. I'm going to have to get a new engine. This thing is ruined. It barely even made it to the shop. It was like running on 4 cylinders out of 8. Somehow he made it here. We got it into the shop. He was like, go ahead and give me a quote on a new engine. Give me a call and we'll see where we go from there. Well, we went to inspect, check the oil and check a few basic things and open the hood, and we saw mice had gotten in. And 4 out of the 8 spark plug wires were completely chewed in half. A lot of vacuum, you know, on the Ford F-150s of those years, they had red and yellow and different colors, hard plastic vacuum lines. Those were chewed in half. And it basically was just a massive vacuum leak with no spark to half the cylinders. We were able to get new plug wires, repair the damage, get everything back up to snuff. The smoking stopped, which was unburned fuel. It ran perfect. And we're able to do all that like $250. And again, we called the customer and told them the good news, and again, they didn't believe it. They're like, no, that thing was running horrible. I don't even know how I made it to the shop. It needs a new engine. We're like, no, it doesn't. So he came down and we let him drive it, and he came back and he was like, it's fixed. Like, yeah, it's fixed. You have a mouse friend out there that's causing you this grief. It's not the engine. The engine's fine. $250, and he left out of there almost like kicking his heels. He was so happy. So it doesn't always have to be catastrophe. It doesn't always have to be $10,000 to fix your car. There are really good stories in this business. The next one is a 97 Ford Taurus. And it was at a shop that I was working at years ago. It seemed to run okay, but the customer noticed the smells coming from the engine. Occasionally there would be smoke coming out of the engine. There would also be the smell of burning rubber, and also a smell the customer described that he really couldn't figure out what it was. It didn't smell like anything he'd ever smelled. So he brought it into the shop thinking, again, this engine's shot. It's literally must be overheating or something's melting, something's really bad. He wasn't a mechanical person at all, so he's not going to open the hood and see what's going on. He mentioned to us he wouldn't even know what he's looking at. So we got into the shop. We noticed a smell. To me, it smelled like a pine smell mixed with burning rubber. And it would smoke. So we opened the hood, and you couldn't even see the engine. It was completely covered like a full layer of pine branches. Little small pine branches off of a pine tree. Completely covered. It was like you open the hood and there's nothing but pine. Nothing. Not even hoses. You couldn't see nothing. The smell was the pine branches resting on the exhaust manifold. Also, they were rubbing on the serpentine belt and causing a burnt rubber smell. And the smoke coming along with the smell. It really scared the customer. We ended up cleaning all the branches out of it, which came from a pack rat. I don't know where the pack rat was. We never did find that. But we let him know he had a rodent problem. We got the problem solved. It ran fine. The smell went away. It was only $50. We only charged him to just clean the stuff out and give him his car back. And that customer didn't really say anything. I'm not sure if they were happy or angry with themselves. I don't know what the scenario was, but he just paid his bill, he took his keys, and he left, and we never saw him again. I don't know if he was mad. I hope that he was happy. We saved him a lot of money, but yeah, whatever. The next one actually happened here at this shop. It was a 2008 Dodge Ram. It came in. This customer was somewhat mechanically inclined, but not a whole lot. He had one of those really small pocket scan tools. His check engine light was on, and one day he decided, you know what, I'm going to see what that is. I want to plug in this little tool and see what it tells me. And it would never connect. There was no communication. The tool wouldn't even turn on. And he brought the truck to us. He was like, I think my ECM's fried. I can't even communicate with the thing. I don't even know how it's running. I'm pretty sure we're going to go ahead and order the ECM and let's get this done. I said, wait a minute here. So we pulled the truck into the shop, actually just had him wait in the waiting room. I've experienced this before on American vehicles. The diagnostic port is powered off of your cigar lighter or cigarette lighter fuse. So I went and checked the fuses. And the first thing I noticed while I was getting down to that point is there's a whole lot of accessories and things plugged into cigarette lighters. Auxiliary ports, if you want to call them. So I finally got to the fuse box and I found the fuse for that circuit, and yes, it was blown. I unplugged all of his accessories, put in a brand new fuse, and I brought him out into the shop and I said, look, and I plugged in our scan tool and I also plugged in his little pocket scan tool, and it all came alive. Everything was working. I said, what happened here is you overloaded your circuit there with all these accessories you have and blew the fuse. So you want to be careful with that. But that little fuse, I showed it to him, powers the accessories and also powers the diagnostic port connector. You don't need a new computer. And he was just so happy. He almost did like where Hoovie tries to hug me all the time. And I was like, no, I don't need a hug. He's like, how much do I owe you? And I said, nothing. We just put a fuse in. It literally cost 20 cents. Like, bring it back when something really is wrong. He goes, oh, I will. I'll bring it back. So, you guys got a customer for life and blah, blah, blah. And that is how you gain customers for life, is doing things like that. You know, a lot of these dealerships and stuff, every person that comes through the door, we got to jab it to them. We got to skid it to them. We got to get every penny. That's not the way to be. We don't do that here. So we did gain a customer for life on that one. The next one is a 2007 Lexus that actually happened here at this shop. It actually almost involved a lawsuit, but not on our end, and nothing that we did. The customer filled it with gas, and then they noticed that it was low on power. Sometimes it would have no power. Sometimes the engine would die. And they were just having so much trouble. Sometimes it wouldn't start. Sometimes it would run fine. And they were like, what is going on here? Something is really wrong. So they brought it to the shop, and they were anticipating some major repair bills. There's some electrical problems. The engine's messed up. Something is really wrong here. And they were getting ready to go on vacation, and they were like, we're going to hold off until we find out what's going on here, because I'm not sure if we're going to need the money for that. So we got to doing some checking. I was reading the O2 sensor codes, and it just hit me. I've experienced this before from the years of experience, over 20 years of experience. I've seen this before. I told Junior Mentor, Christopher at the time, I said, let's hook up our fuel pressure gauge and just open the valve and dump it into a bucket or something. He said, what is that going to do? I said, trust me, just do it. Okay. So we did it, and we filled up a 5-gallon bucket of gas. Half of it was water. They had just been to a filling station to get fuel, and half of it was groundwater. Somehow water was getting in. I'm not sure what happened or how the water got there, but luckily it didn't damage anything. We were able to drain all the fuel out, clean the fuel system out, flush it out, put all fresh gas, and it came back alive and it ran perfectly fine. This is a scenario where the customer got angry. I mean, they were pissed, but not at us. They were like, I'm happy that you got my car fixed, but he said, I'm getting an attorney on this. They could have ruined my engine. Half water? He said, I paid for water in my car? I was like, calm down, guy. We didn't do that. He's like, well, I know you guys didn't do that, but he had me take pictures during the process of the fuel and the water and everything, and he warned me I may have to go to court as a witness because he is suing these people's pants off. Well, I ended up not having to go to court. I don't know what happened out of the deal. I don't even know if he even sued him, but he was ready to at that point. But no, he didn't need an engine. He didn't need major repairs. He just needed good, fresh gasoline. So this one was a happy ending. Luckily, nothing got damaged, but we did hear about a gas station not far from us that actually filled their diesel tanks with gasoline. And what ended up happening, and there was a slew of diesel trucks and things that got damaged. It just destroyed their fuel systems. There was a lawsuit involved with that, and the gas station had to buy a lot of injection pumps, high pressure pumps, injectors, I mean tons. That was very expensive. Luckily that didn't happen this time. And the last story I have is actually one that I've talked about with you guys. If your air conditioner quits working, don't just go to Walmart and buy a bunch of cans of refrigerant and start dumping it in. It has to be precisely metered. This customer had a 2004 F-150. The AC had quit working, so they thought, well, just need some more refrigerant. So I'll go to Walmart or whoever store he went to and bought a few cans of refrigerant. He put it in, he called us up and he was like, I put some more of the refrigerant in, it's still not blowing cold. I'm pretty sure the AC system is roasted. He said, I already called a few places around. They're talking 2,000, 2,500 some places to do the whole shebang. And he's like, I just want to bring it to you guys first to figure out what is really going on before I just pull the trigger on this. So we got the truck into the shop. We verified there is no AC. The first thing we always do is connect the AC machine to the vehicle and evacuate the refrigerant out of the vehicle. We expected to be, it was like 2.2 pounds or something like that. So I got the machine set up and let it do its thing. It takes a little while. I went off and did some other work. And I came back and the machine said on the screen, it said, everything went well. We recovered 7.8 pounds of Freon or refrigerant. We're like, 7 pounds? How? We're like, something's wrong with our machine. There's no way you can even fit 7 pounds in this little system. It's only supposed to hold 2. So we just stopped right there and we called the customer and like, hey man, we pulled out like 7 pounds or more, almost 8 pounds out of your system. He goes, I know, I put like 7 or 8 cans in the thing and it still won't work. And the owner at that time actually got mad. He said, well, maybe you should have put 50. Blow it up. He said, bring it to us the next time you have a problem. He says, you could have seriously damaged this system. It probably would have blown off the excess pressure valve. Luckily, it didn't turn on. We put the right amount of Freon in and did some leak tests, and we found that there was some O-rings on the compressor that was leaking really bad. That leaked his Freon out originally. We evacuated the Freon, fixed the O-rings, and put it back together with the proper amount, and it blew ice cold. It was perfect. The moral of the story of that one is you probably should let a shop do your air conditioning. You can get lucky once in a while with the can and the little gauge, but it's really, you should bring it to a shop. The customer came and picked up their vehicle and they were baffled, and the owner at that time was very angry with that customer. He's like, dude, you could have blown this thing sky. I don't know what would have happened. He says, I didn't even know that it would even hold that much. He said, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. If I have any issues, I'll bring you an air conditioning job and let you guys take care of it. So that got handled. It was paid. I think it was $300 or $400 because we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what in the world happened here. So hopefully those stories will give you guys a little bit of ray of sunshine with all the things that are going on in the world right now. All the bad stories you hear about at the shop, or you watch YouTube videos, I got scammed, or $10,000 on this, or $5,000 on that. There's actually quite a bit of stories that go the other way where it could have been $5,000 and end up being $500. I've seen that quite a lot. Just be very careful. You guys know I stress to you guys, or try to help you guys out. You don't ever go to a shop and say, yeah, I think it needs an engine. Go ahead and put it in. There are shops out there that say, no problem, buddy, we'll do it, and we'll call you when it's done, $5,000. And it end up not needing an engine. Don't ever do that to the shop. Don't ever tell them what you think is wrong with it. Let them find it out and get back with you. So, if you're curious what kind of tools to fix all those issues we talked about, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's so many more cool videos to come. And with the new year is going to come a surprise with our videos. You guys will have to watch and see. Thanks for watching.